Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and welcome to another custom LEGO set review, this time created by the incredible team over at Brick Legends. Now, Brick Legends is responsible for some of my favorite LEGO Ninjago mocks ever, because they cover a lot of topics that the TV show has really never covered in terms of sets, and probably never will. Stuff like Cloud Kingdom, and now, the city of Merlopia, as featured in Season 14, Seabound. So join me as we take a look at the incredible Merlopia mock, and once again, thank you so much to Brick Legends for sending me over the instructions to showcase for all of you. If you are interested in building this yourself, I've linked the instructions in the description below, and without further ado, let's jump into the review. Okay, so here we have the incredible LEGO City of Merlopia mock. This has been made by Brick Legends, and it is a really fun playset depicting a major location from the Ninjago TV show that we never really got as a LEGO set. Sure, we got the Temple of the Endless Sea, but let's be honest, that was a little bit lackluster compared to what we saw in the show, which was definitely something more akin to this. Now, this is a really fun build because not only can you see all of the different details of the city of Merlopia itself, but it actually is modular in a sense, and you can even see a full interior. And let me show you what I mean by that. Well, as you can see, each of these components right here are only attached by a couple of Technic pins, meaning that the entire model, if you don't manage to pull out the pieces the wrong way, is meant to be separated out like so, which is really cool, and I really appreciate that they were able to really factor in all sorts of different details by doing that. Separating off the main components here, we can take a look at the central pillar, which is really cool. One of my favorite things about the way this entire set is built is that it feels that this is almost floating in water. You have these rock structures underneath the build itself, but if you kind of ignore that the rock structures are even there, you can kind of almost imagine that this is floating in the middle of the ocean, and the buildings are either built into the side of a cave or just self-propelled submersibles, which is a really cool look. Now, taking a look at the way that this is built, this is a really nice structure for the build itself. One of the things that really impressed me by the way that it was constructed was that the entire thing is built actually around a set of roller coaster elements. Whereas you can see right here, there are a couple of teal roller coasters directly underneath it that really don't do anything in terms of movement, but really allow you to have this rotational structure. Now, the building itself is only a half building, and that is supposed to be so that you can play on the inside, which totally makes sense, but I want to spend some time on the exterior of the building first to really highlight it and showcase the amount of building techniques and style that went into it. One of the things I really love about the way this is built is the color scheme. Obviously, it's taking the Merlopian color scheme, but really evolving it to be something more dynamic, with the blacks and the golds and the teals being very nice accent colors. This truly feels otherworldly and aquatic to me, and I love the design overall of using the bubble canopies and these very circular-like designs to make the main formation of the building itself. Now, this to me kind of reminds me of another underwater LEGO base, which was the Ogle's underwater base from Alpha Team, and that is a really good thing because that was one of my favorite LEGO villain theme sets, and this is kind of an evolution of that existing concept. Now, rotating the entire thing around, you can see there is a full-on area on the inside. There's a bit of a throne rooms for presumably King Trimar, and then later Prince, and then King Kalmar. Unfortunately, you can't really sit the minifigure inside there because the way the tentacles work, but you can kind of pretend. I mean, you can kind of stick him sort of in there, and he kind of sits in the throne, but the throne is basically just made for a minifigure, so that's something that definitely is a minor con, especially if you want to play with it with minifigures, especially with the Kalmar and Merlopian figures included in the other Ninjago sets, but you can still get them on the inside, and they really do add a lot to the scene, which is really cool. I love these pillars that were used here that were actually seen in the show itself, and as you move on upwards, you even have a nice little area dedicated to eating with some fish on the table, as well as just some little dining areas just to add some more life to the scene itself. Now, overall, this is a really nicely built structure, and again, the thing that really impresses me the most is how consistent the color scheme is while still retaining a very unorthodox look and feel for the way the entire thing is built. The building techniques for this particular building were very impressive, especially going around the side here, and while it does get a little bit repetitive sticking all of these one-by-one pieces with a clip on them onto the roller coasters, the end result was really worth it, and I am a big fan of how this all turned out. Best of all is the modular component. It feels a little bit bare by itself, but once you actually go ahead and hook up the other additional side buildings, it really truly goes a long way in terms of making this feel complete and making this truly feel like the city of Merlopia, which is really, really cool. And I just love the overall look and feel of these three buildings when they're connected together. It really does feel like an expansive LEGO playset. Moving onwards to the first building here, we're going to take a look closely at this building. Now, one thing I do want to note is that the instructions actually do tell you to get the wrong piece. I was able to play around with it to make it work, but the way this function is supposed to work is you push out the shark and the doors will open, which is a really clever function. Unfortunately, these bars are supposed to be mounted on the underside, but because of the way that the pieces were chosen, the pieces can only be mounted on the ball joint on one end versus the other, so it is just a very minor thing in terms of part choice, but do keep that in mind if you are getting the pieces for the set. It is something you have to keep in mind. It is a very cool function though, and I love how you can actually have the Ripper Sharks be emerging through the doors just like in the episodes themselves. It is a feature we've seen in some other LEGO sets before, but definitely one that works very, very well for something like this. Of course, you do have some underwater defenses built in as well, which are quite nice. Just very simple turrets that can be moved and positioned around to fire at the escaping ninja as they flee the city. And going around on the other side, there's just a pretty simple anvil style of build here. Nothing super crazy going on, but again, you can take your Merlopian minifigures and place them all around to really just flesh out the scene and make it seem like this is a living city with all sorts of different stuff going on inside of it, which is something I really do appreciate, how there is space to play around with the minifigures. One other thing I really like is that the two different side buildings are actually pretty unique and different. One of them has its windows as a bit of almost like an I shape with two different domes here and one central pillar, but the other one has one single dome on the other end. And it even has this little bit of a Hogwarts-esque style turret off to the side, which really just feels like a separate building off to its own. Once you rotate this around, you can see some extra additional detail hidden on the inside of this particular part here. You have Kalmar's infamous sea scrolls where he was trying to study the legend of Wojira, and then up here you just have a little bit of a command area where these are supposed to be, I believe, the underwater control panels, which we saw when Kalmar was trying to reawaken Wojira. There's small details and definitely just very minor things, but they really do add on to the space, and I really like just how much you can do in terms of posing the minifigures in the set itself. Whether you want to have the ninja invading the city and trying to figure out its secrets, or having the guards there instead, there's a lot of places to just stick minifigures and make them feel like they're a part of the city. One aspect that I didn't even cover was a little underwater area underneath the main building here, where you can see a trio of clams, which definitely just adds on to the overall underwater look and feel of the buildings itself. Overall, this was a really fun model to put together, and to me, it kind of felt like the missing LEGO City of Merlopia set that we never got from Seabound, but should have gotten. LEGO typically doesn't make large-scale villain sets anymore, which is why when I saw that the instructions for this were posted by Brick Legends, I absolutely had to put it together. This truly feels like building an official LEGO set, which is honestly so cool. I am a huge fan of the way it all came together. It feels like when you're building it, you are building an official set because of how professionally done the instructions are, and besides a couple minor things like the pieces being incorrect selected there, everything really came together very nicely, and it really did feel like a fully finished and complete LEGO build. That's pretty much all I have to say for the City of Merlopia here. Very curious what folks think about this in the comments. Do let me know if you're planning on building this, or if you have built it already, and overall stay tuned because I have a lot more Ninjago fan and reviews like this one on the way. Alright, and with that, we have summed up our look at the incredible Merlopia mock by Brick Legends. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the build? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Are you considering getting it yourself to build? And what do you want to see me review next from their portfolio? Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.